Are you hungry?
Give me something good.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Görgött. Today we're making chive gnocchi. It's loosely based on a recipe from a chef called Andreas Caminada. He makes parsley gnocchi. Obviously parsley will be even a more vibrant green, but I'm not a big parsley fan. I made this before with ramson and that works really well as well. So if you have ramson season, try this out with ramson. But today we're making it with chives. Before we have a look at the board, as always, please support the channel if you're not already doing so by clicking the subscribe button and checking the bell icon to get notifications. But now let's have a look. Here are our gnocchi, nicely handmade. I'll show you how I did those. We also have a chive oil. Show you how we did that as well. And here we have chicken stock, homemade. A link to it here, how to make your own chicken stock. We have a lot of chives, we're gonna need it all. We have some Swiss Alp cheese. Alp cheese just means that the cows were above a certain height on the mountain. We have some cream and butter. Except for that, we're gonna need some salt and some pepper to season with, but that's it. But let's first have a look at how we did the gnocchi. On the board, we have all the ingredients we need for our gnocchi. We have our potatoes. I boiled them last night. Ideally do that, and they're cool, easier to work with. We have some flour. The amounts I have here is about 500 grams of potatoes. It's 35 grams of semolina flour and 35 grams of plain white flour. I have about 30 grams of butter, 2 egg yolks, some nutmeg, and some sea salt. So it's a two-step process. First you need to kind of break them down roughly. Easier if you cut them smaller, but this works as well. And then once we've done this, we need to pass them through a strainer or a net. So I will continue with this and then we'll set up the strainer and look what that looks like. The easiest way is to put a plate. Just put the strainer on top. Get one of these rubber spatulas and take some over and then just press it through. It takes a bit of time, but I think it's worth it because it makes the potato a lot finer. So I'll see you when this is done and we can mix it together. A bit of sweaty work, but as I said, it's worth it in the end. So we just get all of the potatoes back into the mixing bowl. Put our butter in. It's room temperature butter, so it's soft. Our egg yolks, some nutmeg. We'll leave that here because we'll check afterwards and see if we need more. Some fleur de sel. And then we start mixing. Get some flour in there. Now you might need some more plain white flour, but that's kind of the base quantity that you can use. Mix the flour in. Now it's quite dry, so I'll just start mixing with my hands instead. It's a bit easier. Check the texture a bit. And as you see in the background, there's a pot there with, well, it's not boiling yet, but it's waiting to come to the boil with some salt water in it. Because you can try it like this, but to know if it's seasoned well, it's better to do a test in the warm water. So we do one once the water is boiled, and then we'll check if we need to season it more. So you can see we took it out of the bowl, because once it's a bit dry like this, it's easier to work with. The water is almost boiling, so we're almost ready for the test. We're going to put them in and see what they taste like. And then if they taste good, we're ready to form our gnocchi. Now there's maybe not a million ways, but there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Mine are going to be very basic, but you could use a fork to press in. You could use one of these boards, the wooden boards, you know, with the things that make the pattern. But we're going to make it simple. So let's see when these are done if they taste good first of all. So what you do is you put them in, they will sink down, and once they come up to the surface again, depending on the size, you leave them 2 minutes. I think the small ones, like I did them now, it's fine with a minute, maybe a little bit more than a minute. So these are ready to test. And normally if I wouldn't be making a tester, I would have a bowl of ice cold water just to kind of stop them from cooking. Yeah, they're good. They need a little bit more seasoning, so we'll put a bit more seasoning in, but consistency is fine. We just need to work in the seasoning, and then we'll form it. So we grab a piece, not too much, not too little. Start rolling it out. Like that. Grab a stainless steel tray. We'll flour that a bit, and that's where we put our gnocchi afterwards. Just a normal white flour. So now I like to press it a bit like this. And then take a sharp knife. Then the gnocchi kind of looks, I'll try to show you, looks a bit like this. It's not the classical shape, but it's the shape I like. You just throw them, oh you can't see that, but I'll throw them somewhere else then so that you can see it, just like that on your tray. Now let's make all the gnocchi and then we'll boil them. So we're done with our gnocchi. I put some in the fridge already for later. Best is when you put them in the fridge, don't put them on top of each other, put them next to each other, because otherwise they will weigh down and start sticking. The water is ready. I have some cold water here. We're going to boil them now, and that's basically it for what we need to do with the gnocchi. Now we can go back to the overall board. Not difficult and so worth it. Do your own gnocchi, tastes much better. And the second thing we'll have a look at is how we did the chive oil. I think you might have seen me do chive oil before, but if you haven't, we'll do it again. First, some neutral oil, in my case grapeseed. Put that all in. Now you can make any herb oil without a Thermomix like this. You just need to warm the oil on the stove and do it with a mixer. You need to warm it to around 60 degrees, 60, 65, and then mix in the herbs, and then strain it and cool it. There we go. Put the lid on this. Get this one off. Put it to 65 degrees. Just a little bit of whisk until the oil is warm. So it's reached 65 degrees. I'll talk now because when I switch off up the speed of the mixer, you're probably not going to hear much. So you break this up. Just two, put them in, and I'll see you in a bit. So, in the meantime, I prepared a bowl in a cold water bath with a straining cloth. I will strain straight into this. That. Move this out of the way. You don't want to squeeze it too much, just give it time to kind of drop through by itself. You can wiggle it a bit if you want, and that tends to speed it up a little bit. Wonderful vibrant color and pure chive taste. You can do this with any herb. I've also done it with chili that I dried. Gives a wonderful chili oil. Let me know in the comments if you want me to show you how to make the chili oil. So, perfect. We'll get rid of this, and then we'll put that into basically a drip flask. And that's it for the chive oil. So now we've seen the gnocchi and the chive oil. Let's get our chive puree ready. And it's basically a reduction of cream where you blend in chives and you season it. A little bit of chicken stock in that as well. So I have a small pot there. The first thing we'll do is I have 2 deciliters of cream here. We're going to reduce that to, reduce away 2/3 so that it's 1/3 left. So we'll get that going, then I'll set up the kitchen machine and we'll mix the puree. Now reducing cream is always a bit of an adventure. You have to be quick, otherwise you'll have a mess. So this is ready. I hope you can see it. It's a lot thicker. It's been reduced down nicely. Put that to the side. Now we'll just help the cutter a little bit. Like so. Get all of this in. Put a bit more into place, and we'll start with just, well, we can add some salt as well. A good pinch of salt and some turns of the white pepper. We can always add more afterwards. Now again, I'm not going to bore you with the high-pitched noise of a blender. Here we go. I stopped it now because we're going to pour in the thing. I just wanted to tell you that, since you will not be able to hear me once we start it again. So, and I just realized the battery in the top camera just died. I will exchange this once we're done with this, so you will have to see me from the front while we finish it. And now start mixing again. I'll also add about 2 tablespoons of chicken stock. And continue blitzing. So, change the battery. You should be able to see from the top there now. Nice kind of light green paste. I'll put that into another container and let's see what we need to do next. So our chive puree is ready. It's very intense. Now, the original recipe when you make this tells you that you should pass this through a strainer again, but I kind of like the rustical feel. You can actually feel the herbs. So I'm not going to strain this. I usually don't strain it. And now everything is going to come together at the stove. So let's move over there and put everything together. So the first thing we'll do, we'll put in chicken stock, about 1 deciliter, and a good tablespoon of butter. I'm going to bring this to a boil, let it reduce, let it come together. You can see the butter is already melted. We need to reduce almost half. It should become like an emulsion. Now it's time to mix in our chive puree. Beautiful, vibrant green. Last taste to make sure we have enough salt. We add a pinch. Now it's time for our Alp cheese. And for our gnocchi. As you know, the gnocchi is already cooked, so we just basically need to warm it up. Now once it's all warm, we'll move over and plate. So see you at the plating station. I'm really excited about this dish. It's so nice and vibrant, and it's time to plate it up. But before we do that, if you stuck with me this far, there must have been something you enjoyed with the episode. So do me this huge favor, support me and the channel by clicking the thumbs up button below. Hit that like button and leave a comment. Let me know what you liked or didn't like. But now, let's plate this. In the end, it's not a difficult plating, right? You're just spooning it into a plate like this. I'd say that's a good portion. And now for our chive oil. A little bit all over like that. And I don't know if you saw last week's episode, but we had crunchy onion there, right? And I have some of that left, so I'm gonna put that on top. It's not in the original recipe, but it fits really well. I'll put the link to that episode here if you missed it. And there we are, our chive gnocchi. Let's give it a taste. Can't wait for this. And with a spoon, the only way. Really, really nice. I mean, if you like chives. Now, when you make the chive puree and just taste the puree, it will have a bit of a bitterness to it. But don't worry, because when you mix it with the chicken stock, the butter, it all comes together beautifully. And for me, I really don't mind that the puree is not passed through a strainer. Adds a little bit of extra texture. And those crunchy onions are really lifts the dish a little bit. Well, my version of Andreas Caminada's parsley gnocchi, chive gnocchi. I hope you enjoyed the episode. That's it for today. But before we go, please support the channel if you're not doing so yet by clicking the subscribe button and checking the bell icon. That's it. See you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.